back again, your internet automotive spec guru. Today we are going to be going over, I already have it up here. We're going to be going over the 997 Porsche 911 Turbo. And I said Porsche, that is the correct way to say it. I might missay it a couple times today. I don't usually say Porsche. I just did that because I know people care. I don't. However, yeah, announcements. Let's see, what do we have for announcements? Oh yeah, I'm doing this giveaway, 50 bucks. If you want to win 50 bucks, join the Discord, as well as like the video, as well as subscribe and leave a comment. Let's get to 10 likes today. 10 likes is the goal. Pretty easy goal to hit. I think we can do it. 10 likes, like the video right now. But yeah, the 997 Turbo. Also, if you haven't already, my bad, join the Discord. We got 7 members right here. If you want to win the 50 bucks, it's a 1 in 7 chance right now. The link is in the description. Just hit that link and join. Yeah, if you want to win 50 bucks. If not, that's cool. But here's where I post all the notes for the show, so you can keep follow along during the show. Cool. What else? Oh yeah, follow my socials, follow my Instagram down below. You can also follow me on TikTok. I just post reels there, just highlighting some of the ad reviews I do at the end of the show. Also, if you edit this type of stuff, if you edit reels, TikTok shorts, and you know cars, I'm looking for an editor to help me out. I'm doing this myself. I'm doing everything myself. The editor would just basically take care of doing 1 reel every day. And that would mean just taking a clip from one of my daily shows, doesn't even matter which one, and just making a 1-minute clip out of just one of the ad reviews I do. Or if you find anything else interesting in the show, hit me up if you are interested in editing. Yeah, it's a paid position. Cool. So this is the 997 Turbo. Hey, shout out to you, Clean Whips. Clean Whips in the building. What? There we go. Clean Whips, always showing support. Shout out to you, man. You get the air horn. Cool. All right. So what is a 997? The 997 is, well, I'd say it's the bridge in between. A lot of people would say old school Porsches are going to be the traditional classic Porsches. However, I think the 997 is the bridge between the classic and modern Porsche, and here is why. The 997 had 2 iterations, the pre-facelift and the facelift, the 997.1, the 997.2. When the 997.2 came out, that is when the PDK for Porsche was released. PDK is one of the best transmissions on the market. It is obviously a VAG product, dual clutch transmission, and one of the fastest, one of the most reliable, one of the most stout transmissions in production. This was the first iteration, which came in the facelifted version, the 997.2. The 997.1, however, came with the old Tiptronic transmission. It's a 5-speed. It is an automatic, very robust, very stout transmission. However, it doesn't really have that character that the PDK or manual has. It is shared in a lot of Mercedes models from the time, so that kind of adds to its reliability plus its availability. If you want to get a Tiptronic transmission replaced, it is a lot cheaper than a PDK. The transmissions are what are you reading? 429 horses. This has more. This has about 480 in terms of the 992, but we'll get to that. Getting a little ahead of ourselves. What was I saying? Yeah, so this is like the bridge in between the modern and old school Porsches, in my opinion. A lot of people say that between air-cooled and water-cooled is the bridge. I'd say it's this specific generation, the 997, simply because this is when they transitioned to PDK. PDK is one of the defining factors of modern-day Porsches. And yeah, started with this one. Also, they did an engine change for the pre-facelift, the 997.1 to the .2. It went from a Metzger engine, very famous engine in Porsche lineage, to a DFI engine. It went from the Metzger because the Metzger wasn't as efficient, and also they wanted to make it a little bit more reliable. However, the main reason why the Metzger was taken out of production was because of cost. The Metzger, and oh, actually, let's get into it. So let's do the features, options, and problems for the 911 Turbo for the 997. And we'll get into the differences between the pre-facelift 997.1 and the facelift .2, because that is pretty much the main point of this show today, is driving home the point between, or the difference between these two cars. So the 2000 or the 997 Porsche Turbo is weird because it doesn't really follow the regular years that every other 997 or 991 follows. It starts a lot later than when the 996 ended, And so what I've come to see is that for Porsche turbo cars, they actually carry on production into the next generation for the turbo, simply because it's the highest trim level, and therefore I guess they start it later in terms of production, and they end it later in terms of production when compared to non-turbo cars. So I believe the 996 turbo, the last year, was in 2005. They didn't have a 2006 model in the United States, and they just skipped to the 997 in 2007 with the turbo model. 2007 to 2009 are going to be the 997.1 models. These are going to be the pre-facelift. 2010 to 2013 is going to be the post-facelift. Which is interesting is that the 991 actually started for the regular Carrera around 2011. So they actually carried on making the turbo 997 during the production of the beginning of 991, which is interesting. As I mentioned before, went from Metzger to a DFI engine. The DFI engine, some of the main differences is it went from a 3.6 liter to a 3.8 liter. It also gained a little bit of power. It also it became a direct injection engine. So basically, you have the issue of carbon buildup. However, it hasn't been said to be a big issue on these cars. The 997.1 had the Metzger, as I mentioned, and it's based on the GT1 engine. Very reliable, very proven engine, which is why a lot of people still swear by the 997.1. They say, you know, I don't care if the new engine is better technology, more reliable. I like the fact that this engine has the heritage of being in the GT1, the Metzger, and the 997.1. And people just love those engines. Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. Anyway, so what was I saying? Sorry. I just had a distraction. Sorry about that. I gotta get my train of thought back. I don't even remember what I was talking about. Anyway, 997.1 Metzger engine, way more reliable. I'm sorry, way less reliable. The newer engine is way more reliable. However, the 997.1 actually has higher tuning potential. We'll get into that in a little bit. It made 473 horsepower and 457 pound-feet of torque. Yep, different engines. The Metzger was a 3.6, the DFI is a 3.8. So the 3.6 Metzger made 473 horsepower, 457 pound-feet of torque. And then you also had an option for overboost with the turbo, specifically the turbo. We'll get into the Turbo S in a little bit. And then for the 997.2, as I mentioned, the new DFI engine made up to 493 horsepower and 480 pound-feet of torque. And it went from, this should be a 3.6 to 3.8. Yeah, mistyped there. And something that changed, which added to the reliability of the new DFI engine, was they changed from Nikasil cylinder liners to Alisil block that combined the cylinders and the crankcase. So you no longer had the cylinder liners. It was all one piece. And then the .2 or the .2 had updated suspension, exhaust, larger intake, larger turbos, and intercoolers. This all added up to having a higher horsepower. The Turbo S was introduced for the .2 model, and this had 523 horsepower and 516 pound-feet of torque. They did this with revised intake timing, a carbon airbox. It also came standard with carbon ceramic brakes and Sport Chrono. So what Sport Chrono is, it's a package. It's basically the sport package for the turbo. If you get a Sport Chrono for a non-Turbo S, so basically a turbo, this could be pre-facelift or facelift .1 or .2. The Sport Chrono comes with we'll get into it, but mainly it comes with an overboost function, which allows you to have the Turbo S power for a temporary period of time. Basically, it increases the boost pressure from the turbo from 1 bar to 1.2 bar. So that's like 14 PSI to like maybe around 16, 17 PSI to give you a little bit more power. Cool. All right, let's move on to the options. So a ton of options for this car. Yeah, there's a lot to go over in terms of options, but I'll make it simple. We'll go over the brochures as well. So let's put that in here real quick. Let's see if it fits first of all, because a ton of info here. Select that. We'll make it 8, just so it fit. How about 9? There we go. Cool. So as we can see, In terms of options, you have the transmission option. So as I mentioned before, the Tiptronic, the automatic came with the .1 cars. The PDK came with the .2 cars. You could get manual transmissions for both .1 and .2. If you didn't have a Turbo S, you also had options for Porsche carbon ceramic brakes. This is what PCCBs mean. You also have the Sport Chrono package for the turbo cars. As I mentioned before, it comes standard with the Turbo S. So let's read what the Sport Chrono package actually comes with. It comes with PSM, PASM, PTM, TCU, and okay, we'll just those are the acronyms. We'll actually dive into what changes. So they have a less intrusive Porsche stability management system, a stiffer Porsche active suspension management system. The four-wheel drive for the Porsche traction control management becomes more rear biased. The transmission control unit becomes more sporty. This is for the Tiptronic. The engine control unit, increased turbo boost. As I mentioned before, this is that overboost from 1 bar to 1.2 bar. And then the electronic throttle control, you have a more controlled throttle response. So basically with Sport Chrono, you have the Sport and Sport Plus modes. And then that's how you control the levels for these parts. If you don't have Sport Chrono, you don't control these things. For the 997.2 specifically, Sport Chrono also came with dynamic engine mounts. Another option is short shifter, your limited slip differential. You can choose your wheel color. You can choose between stainless steel exhaust tips and just regular tips. You also have the aero kit, super rare to find on US turbo cars. I couldn't find a single aero kit car for sale right now. And what basically the aero kit comes with is a front, rear, and side skirts. They're going to be painted. As you can tell with this model right here, they are in black. However, with the aero kit, they come in painted, as well as having a GT3 style wing. It's a little bit taller than this wing. Again, very rare. I did not find a single aero kit car for sale in terms of the turbos. They have some Carreras that have aero kits. Sometimes they just have the front aero kit. You have to make sure that it has a factory full aero kit with the spoiler if you're looking for one of those. But again, those are going to command a huge premium. You also have a rear wiper option. Some people option it. I haven't seen many rear wiper options. The roof transport system. Those are talking about the roof rails. You also have Home Link, which is your garage opener. Cruise control is an option. Most cars are going to have it though. Instrument dial color. You can also change the instrument dial color: red, yellow, silver. You can get comfort seats, adaptive seats, or sport buckets. You can change the back of the sport seat backrest color. You can change the back of the sport seat backrest color. You can get heated seats. You can change the seatbelt color, change the center console color. Sport style footrest for left-hand drive cars. Embroidered floor mats, extended leather dash trim packages basically means that you have dash or leather on top of the dash as well. You also have the instrument surround in leather, steering column in leather, and 3-spoke wheel in leather. This can be in all the colors. We'll go over the colors in a second. Also, you have the option of a three-spoke multifunction steering wheel or the 3-spoke sport steering wheel. I suggest you get the sport steering wheel. The multifunction does not come with paddles. You can get soft ruffled leather on the seats. That is also an option. The leather interior package, as I mentioned before, it comes with leather extended leather door trim package, sport seat backrest in leather, Porsche crest, headrest crests, passive handset in leather. If you get the passive handset, that's not really an option. You should really look for, it's kind of outdated at this point. The rear center console gets covered in leather, the roof lining in leather, sun visors in leather, interior light surrounds in leather, interior door sill guards in leather. This comes in the leather interior package or the extended leather package. You have extended leather packages for the dash and the door. They're different. So if you see that you have an extended leather package, make sure it's for the dash or the door. Kind of confusing. For the pre-facelift car, we have a bunch of different interior material packages. So you can choose the main material for the trim. You choose the seat color, and then you also choose if you want extended or regular leather for the dash and the door. And then so that comes with different things. So basically the different trim colors you can get are Massacre, which is dark satin wood. You can get Sycamore, which is a light wood. You have the carbon interior package as well as the aluminum/stainless steel interior package. So I know that was a lot to go over and it was kind of out of order, but we'll go through a brochure right now and just show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. Actually, before I do that, let's take a listen to what this car actually sounds like, because I know a lot of you guys are wondering, like, 6-cylinder flat 6 twin turbo. I don't know if this car actually sounds that great, and I'm not going to lie to you guys, it doesn't sound that great. I think the best part about the turbo sound is literally the turbo sound. When you're at idle, you can hear the turbos whistling. That's about it. Maybe like just as soon as you take off, it sounds pretty good, but it doesn't really change in terms of the tonality of the sound. Not my favorite sound. Obviously, it's not known for its sound. I'll kind of get into what the ethos of the turbo is in a second, but let's just listen to what it sounds like. So very raspy is what the turbo sounds like. But you hear that turbo whistle? That's probably the best part in my opinion. Shout out to Supercars 1. Fair use, fair use. Alright, let's get him taken off. This is going to be at 997.2. As you can tell by the tail lights, the 997.1 has flat bottom tail lights. 997.2 has this kink up in the center. But as you can hear, I mean, it sounded pretty cool. Nothing too fancy, and that is with a 9FF exhaust, which is a very expensive exhaust system. So you're not really, man, the sound of a turbo isn't that great. It's about the performance, it's about the daily ability, it's about the reliability, it's about the overall build of the vehicle. The vehicles are built very well, and that's why they sell, not because of their sound. But yeah, let's get on to those brochures. Here we have the 2006 brochure for the 2007 model year. As we can see, these look very different than the Italian brochures for the F430 and the Gallardo we were looking at before. The Gallardo and the Ferrari brochures, very characteristically Italian in the way they were written. Everything, even the options, are written in paragraph form. And they mostly talk about the feelings that you'll get from the options and the feelings of the feelings of driving the car and the experience. Here in Germany, we actually have some common sense. And not only do they talk about all the technology in the car, give you facts and figures, data, statistics, charts, they even show you a breakaway of the actual variable vane turbo, which is crazy. They show you everything with these German brochures. They even tell you how the engine management system works, which is pretty detailed. Shows you the transmission. But most importantly, they actually list out the options. Unlike their Italian counterparts, we can see all the options here. And this was in 2006. So what we're looking at most importantly here is the colors. We can see in terms of exterior colors, there are a ton. They have solid exterior colors, metallic ones, and special ones. We got all sorts of blacks, reds, yellows, blues, greens, grays, and whites. Pretty much every color you'd ever want for a car. In terms of interior, we have even more options. We have it broken down into 3 different sections: standard interior colors, special interior colors, and two-tone interiors. Even though, actually, no, I'm sorry. I was thinking about the 997.2 brochure. So we can see that it also, it shows you the color of not only the leather, but the carpet and the roof lining. So it changes all 3 colors, which is nice. I like having cars where they actually keep the consistency between the roof liner and the seat and the dash. It all looks nice and uniform. A lot of cars from this era, they actually had like a generic roof color for every single interior option, and the rest of the car was going to be colored the way you want. However, as you can see, Porsche went a step further and matches the roof liner to the leather, which is pretty cool. For some of them, as you can see, for the special interior colors, the roof lining is always going to be in black. But if you get a standard one, you can change the roof lining. Same thing with the two-tones. So as you can see, you can not only pick the leather, but you can pick the carpet, the roof lining. You could also pick the convertible top color. I don't know where that is here. We'll get to that. As we can see, these are going to be the 4 interior options in terms of trim. For the dot 1, for the dot 2, they actually dropped the sycamore wood. They kept the Massacre and they kept carbon and aluminum, but they dropped the sycamore. But you can see this is what they look like. You have the dark wood, which you can see on the steering wheel, as well as the center console and the handles. You can see which parts are affected by which trim package you get. I highly recommend either getting this dark wood or the carbon. This would probably be my third choice, the silver and aluminum trim. However, I would stay away from the sycamore, and Porsche also realized this. This is why they dropped it for the 997.2 model. 1 second. I got my haircut yesterday. Thanks for asking. It looks good, doesn't it? Anyway, let's get on to the dot 2 so we can see the differences in terms of options. We can see that they also added different color convertible tops. Actually, well, let's see what the wheel options were real quick, and then we'll move to that. So I don't believe they actually showed many wheel options for the 997.1 like they did for the dot 2. Yeah, no. They showed them for the dot 2. These 19-inch RS Spider wheels are going to be the ones to get for the dot 2. However, they are center locks, which means they're going to be super inconvenient to have on a daily basis. These are going to be the standard turbo wheels that you're going to see. But if you have these wheels, just know that they didn't cheap out on options, and it is going to go for a premium. I see the colors for the dot 2 didn't really change. However, they did add, as I mentioned, convertible roof colors. As you can see right here, they call it a hood, even though we call it a roof. They call it a hood. I don't know. In Europe, they use different words. So for the colors, we can see we have our standard colors. A little bit less of a choice than for the dot 1. We can see there was 2 greens with the dot 1, but here we only have 1 green. And then we got a couple reds. Guards red is going to be a very popular popular color for this car. Same with speed yellow. And of course, GT silver metallic is also going to be a special color. And also Carrera white is also a special color. Cool. And moving on to the leather colors, we can see that we have some more options. However, for the special and natural leather, we can see that it does only include black roof liners as the same with before. But we can see they added some extra 2 tones for the special or the standard leather. We can see a black and cream and a black and titanium blue. We'll get more into the spec as we look at examples, but as you can see, the options pretty much stayed the same for the dot 2. However, there was an addition of the aero kit. As I mentioned, very rare. It comes with this GT3 wing and painted lower body kit. You can also get a hardtop roof for the cabriolet versions. As you can see right here, this is a cab with a hardtop roof on it. You can get those from the factory. A lot of people just get them aftermarket because they're really expensive from the factory. But if you get one from the factory, just know that's a super expensive option, and you can probably sell it if you don't want it. As you can see, this is going to be the interior color options. We have the black and stone gray interior. We have the carbon interior. We have the Massacre, as we can see, the wood on top, and then the aluminum. So pretty much stayed the same. They dropped the Sycamore, but the options in terms of what you get on the inside pretty much stay the same. Dot 1 versus dot 2. Also, yeah, I'll just mention it real quick. The seat differences. You have the comfort seat, you have the adaptive sport seats, and you have the sport bucket seats. It may look like the comfort seats and the seat or the adaptive sport seats are similar. However, if you look closely, you can see that the comfort seats, the way to tell the difference between comfort and sport and adaptive sport, not only the controls, there are a little bit more controls with the adaptive sports, but there is a seam going down the middle on the adaptive sport seats. Something to look out for when you're looking at these cars. You can easily tell what seats you have just by this seam. And if they're sport buckets, they look like this, completely different. Cool. Anything else that I forgot to mention? I think that is it. That is pretty much it. Man, getting text during the show. I wish you'd just comment in the chat box instead of texting me. It's all good though. Let's get on to the ads. Moving on to our first example. We have a 2007 pre-facelift 997.1 with 39,500 miles. It's going to be a silver car. You can see that it does not have the Porsche carbon ceramic brakes. See what leather interior package it has. It has obviously black leather. It has the adaptive sport seats, as you can tell by the center stitch. The comfort seats are just going to be blank in the middle. Let's see. Yep, just it doesn't have any special interior package, just a standard black leather package. Very standardly spec car. We can see that the top of the dash is in leather, so it is a extended leather car. We can see the tops of the doors. Let's see the tops of the doors are in leather as well, so it has extended leather for the dash and for the doors, so it's fully leathered out in terms of the interior. However, it does not have any special materials for the trim. It's just black trim. Not a bad price, however. These are pretty expensive nowadays. It's going to be a .1 car, so it's going to have the 5-speed Tiptronic, probably the least desirable part of the car. However, you have to remember that the Tiptronic is a pretty reliable transmission. The PDK just outshines it, unfortunately. But in a vacuum, the Tiptronic is a good engine. Let's see what he has to say. Up for sale is a very clean 2007 Porsche 911 Turbo. This car is extremely clean and very nice. What a very descriptive description. I know so much more about the car now, thanks. So yeah, very standardly spec car, silver on black, very desirable in terms of, you know, just a normie getting a Porsche. This is a very clean spec. The car is clean. He is not lying about that. It has full leather on the doors and the dash, so you're not skimping on anything there. It does have sport chrono as well. Highly desirable option for the Turbo is sport chrono. This has pretty much everything you want going for it except for the Tiptronic, but we'll factor that into the price. $79,000 is a little bit too much for me, especially for having 40,000 miles. For having a Tiptronic, I'd be around the $71,000 mark. Yeah, for having a Tiptronic, I'd be around the $71,000 mark. Moving on to our next ad, we have a Cabriolet 2008. I'm gonna have 36,000 miles. As you can see, it has these wheels. These are not standard wheels. However, they are still Porsche wheels. These are gonna be those standard wheels he has, which is a good thing, meaning if it comes with the wheels on the side, meaning you could sell those wheels, if you wanted to make up for some of the price. Let's see what he has to say. The price has been adjusted twice, and now he will facilitate shipping. Wow, so he is really trying to get rid of this car. $70,000 is pretty low for $70,000 isn't bad for this car. I mean, it is a cabriolet, so that has something going against it. Let's see what else. Black with a tan interior. Everything works as it should. Minimal wear on the top. This is a desirable 997.1. Having the hydraulic steering. Gentleman's crew. Okay, so not much information. However, he does have some, but not much. Let's look at the interior. So it's completely tan. We can see it has the extended leather on the dash. Let's see if it has the extended leather on the doors, which it should. I mean, most of them do, but he's not showing the doors for some reason. So we don't know if it has extended leather on the doors. I can't tell by here. I don't see any stitching. Wow, zero pictures of the upper door, so I do not know. Full leather spec. Okay, so he says it's full leather. I do not know if it's full leather just on the dash or on the doors, but we're going to take his word for it. Full leather spec, H&R lowering springs. They'll come with the stock coils. Also assuming it's going to come with the stock wheels, so it has a lot of extras. The interior looks pretty clean. It does have the sport adaptive seats, so you're not having the comfort seats. They are sport adaptive. What else? What else? You know, actually, this is something I'll have to clarify, but the sport adaptives I've seen have these extra buttons on the front. However, these do have the center seam, so I'm going to assume they are still sport adaptive. For something like this, the $70,000 isn't actually too bad. 36,000 miles for a 2008. I'd say simply because it's a cabriolet and not a coupe, I'd be only willing to go up to 67,000, but 70,000 is pretty close for this car. Moving on, we have another cabriolet. We can see it's on the stock wheels. It's going to be a 2010, so a facelifted car. These are those facelifted wheels. They want $80,000 or 62,000 miles. A little bit high. Let's see what he has going on the inside. See if it has the full leather on the doors, which it does. You can see the stitching up there. Let's see what else it has. It has the comfort seats, so the base seat option for this car. It also has the extended leather on top of the doors as well, so full leather car. Let's see what the trim is, as in what is the material on the top of the wheel. It's going to be the black leather with the multi-function steering wheel, so it doesn't have the good wheel. It has black leather, so no special interior package. However, it does have full leather doors and dash along with the sport chrono. Has some good options aside from not having the sport adaptive seats and not having the multi-function wheel. So many people are calling me today, goodness gracious. Anyway, yeah, as we can also see, fully black car. Cabriolet roof is in decent condition. We see some wear right here. But other than that, let's see what else he has to say about the car. Good condition and well-optioned turbo. This is a 99.2, 97.2 PDK, heated seats, ventilated seats, sport chrono, CD player, lightning connector. Okay, Bluetooth, parking sensors. So it has all the good options, but comfort seats, obviously, and the multifunction wheel. Those aren't going to be the most desirable options on the 997. But we'll take it as it is. 80 grand with 60,000 miles. This is a .2, so it's going to command a little bit higher price because it has a PDK and not the Tiptronic. However, for 62,000, I'd only be willing to go up to 74 for this 2010 Cabriolet Turbo. Cool. Moving on to our next ad, we have another Cabriolet. However, this is going to be a Turbo S. The Turbo S is going to make a little bit more power, about 520 horsepower compared to the regular Turbo's 500. And as we can also see, it has the RS Spider wheels with the center locks. Very desirable option. However, they are very expensive. We can also see that it comes with the convertible hardtop. I believe this is a factory option, meaning that this car does have some expensive options on it. Let's see what it has on the inside. We can already tell, looking at it from the front, it has the Sport Chrono as well as having the Porsche carbon ceramic brakes. Fully optioned car so far. Let's see what the interior spec looks like. We have the Sport adaptive seats in gray. Very ugly color for the interior of this car. It also has the multifunction wheel. However, it has the multifunction wheel with the Sport Chrono, meaning you get this nice little PDK display dial thing that just says PDK on the top of the wheel. Yeah, some cars come with it. You'll get it if you get Sport Chrono with a standard wheel. If you get a 3-spoke wheel, you won't have this PDK thing on there. However, if you get the multifunction wheel, you do get the PDK. Little sticker sign thing. So you can see full leather on the dash. How about the doors? I did not. Yep, full leather on the doors. So fully leather car with the Sport adaptive seats. So not a bad spec, but it is a multifunction wheel, so it doesn't have the Sport wheel, and it is in gray, which is a super ugly color for interiors, no matter what car. But it is a Turbo S, so we're going to ignore the ugly interior. We're also going to see that it has the factory hardtop for the convertible. So it has a ton of options. Factory hardtop, RS wheels. It has Sport adaptive seats, full leather. What else? PDK, but that's not really an option, and it has a standard wheel. So some options here, some expensive options. 139,000 is a ton of money. However, this has low miles, under 8,000 miles. So he's not too far off. This would be more of along the lines of a manual 997.2. For a PDK, even though it has all these options, I wouldn't really want to pay above 110. 110 grand for this 2011 Turbo S. Moving on to our final example, we have another Turbo S. This one is going to look very nice. Has the Spider RS wheels, as you can see, in black. Has a big Turbo S livery on the side too. You can also see that he has a lot of aftermarket forged carbon fiber parts. As you can also see, he re-upholstered the center seat with this plaid design. I'm not sure if these were comfort seats before he changed them out. You can't tell anymore. We're just going to assume that they are sport comfort seats because this is a Turbo S and they do come with a little bit more standard options. But as you can also tell, this is a Turbo S, meaning that it does have Sport Chrono standard. Let's see what he has to say. 89k miles. This car has been a blast, but I need 4 doors. It has a Eurocharge Stage 2, GT2 exhaust, H&R lowering spring, chrome steering wheel with paddles and shift knob. Custom. I read this is chrome, but he can't spell. I'll give you a little slap for that. Otherwise, this is pretty good in terms of your mods. Custom in black, yellow plaid interior, aftermarket stereo, hardwired V1 Gen 2 radar, ceramic coating. Car came with the center lock wheels and Porsche carbon ceramic brakes. Cool. So this car is a driver's example. Turbo S, super high miles, but has every option you want and has been pretty customized. You know, not the most tasteful mods on the planet. However, these mods being as untasteful as they are can lead to you reducing the price. Seems like he's reduced the price already. 80 grand for a Turbo S is going to be one of the cheaper, if not the cheapest Turbo S for sale right now. But I think we can go a little bit lower than that because of all the customizations, because of the high miles. I'd say for this, I wouldn't be able to go over 70 grand for this car. Yep. For this 2011 Turbo S with this many miles, I'd say I would pay 70,000 for this car. Moving on to our first ad on Auto Trader, we have a 2009 Turbo. It's going to be a black car with a black interior, and as you can also see, it has the carbon. And gosh, I'm having a slow morning. Hold on. And as you can also see, it has the comfort seats. It has a carbon fiber centered console. Let's see if that is an aftermarket or part of the trim package. We can see it is aftermarket. The steering wheel is in the standard leather. We can also see it comes with Sport Chrono, which is good. But in terms of the trim package material, it is going to be the standard black leather trim, or standard leather trim in black. But in terms of the trim package, it's going to be the standard leather trim in black. We can see it also has the multifunction wheel, doesn't have the sport wheel. So it's a pretty base spec car, and they tried to up the value, at least how it is perceived, by adding the center console in carbon. You know, that's pretty subjective, up to you whether you like it or not, but just know that it is not a carbon fiber trim car, and it has the standard comfort seats as well as the multifunction wheel. So not really a lot going for it, aside from the fact that it does have Sport Chrono, which is a huge option for these cars. At least I thought it had Sport Chrono. So I'm going to show it. Hold up. Does it not have Sport Chrono? It does have Sport Chrono. Tripping. So Sport Chrono, but everything else is base. 59,000 miles, 68 grand. That's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. 68 grand is a good amount of money for a car like this. It's 2009, 59,000 miles. One of the cheaper examples. However, that does reflect on the spec. It is a pretty base spec car aside from having Sport Chrono, and because of that and the mileage, I wouldn't be able to pay more than $63,000 for this 2009 turbo. Moving on to our second ad, we have a 2007 turbo. They want $74,900 for it. It has 40,000 miles. This one, it says it has a 6-speed, but I have a feeling that they're lying, and they are lying. This is going to be an automatic, going to be that Tiptronic 5-speed car. Not a bad option, as I always say. However, it's not what they represent it as to be. This is a standardly spec car. As you can also tell, it has the black leather trim, as well as having full leather. You can tell because it is stitched on the dash and the upper doors. What else do we see here? We see the sport adaptive seats as well as Sport Chrono. But it does have the, nope, it has, yeah, it doesn't have the sport steering wheel. This is going to be that multifunction steering wheel. Actually, it has a 3-spoke steering wheel. So it does have the 3-spoke steering wheel. This is going to be the Tiptronic version where you can change the gears with these buttons. However, it isn't the one with the paddle shifters. I believe that only came on the 997.2. So this turbo, I actually really like the spec. Very clean. Silver on black, as was this first one we looked at. But the mileage is pretty low, 40,000 miles, 74,000. As mentioned, automatic car. However, the spec is very nice. You have the 3-spoke sport wheel, you have sport adaptive seats, you have Sport Chrono, nice color, lowish miles. I'd say for this one, I'd be willing to go up to $69,000 for this 2007 911 Turbo, 40,000 miles. Moving on to a 2013. This is going to be the last model year of the 911 Turbo for the 997 generation. It's going to be a .2. Obviously, we have the stock 997.2 wheels. We can see it's in a black finish, black on black car. Let's see what the interior spec looks like. We can see that it comes with the standard brakes, no carbon ceramics here. And we can also see that it comes with the 3-spoke wheel. This is going to be the wheel without the paddles, unfortunately. However, it's going to be the 3-spoke wheel, not the multifunction, which is a step up. However, the paddles would be the ultimate wheel to get. We can see that it also has a sport adaptive seats. You can see the center seam with the red belts. Pretty cool option to have. Looking at the interior spec, we can see that it's just standard black interior spec in terms of the trim, as well as having the Sport Chrono with a red gauge, which is pretty cool. The regular gauges are in silver. So pretty optioned car, Sport Chrono. We got the adaptive seats. We got full leather. Yep. Adaptive seats, full leather, Sport Chrono, turbo. It's going to be a 2013 last model year with 50,000 miles. I'd say this isn't too far off, to be honest. This is a pretty good price. I'd say for me, I wouldn't be willing to go over 80 grand, but 80 grand for a 2013 turbo, Sport Chrono, pretty much fully loaded, is a really good deal. This amount of miles is nothing, not that much either. These 911 turbos, they're 100,000 miles easy. Here we have a 2011 Turbo S in Guards Red. One of my favorite colors for these. It also has the Porsche carbon ceramic brakes. $102,000 they're asking. Let's see what they have to say. Selling 911 with a PDK, completely stock, only added tinted windows and PPF. So really bad description there. Let's look at the picture, see if we can do some investigation for ourselves. Turbo S, as I mentioned, Porsche carbon ceramics. It has a sport adaptive seats as well as the proper true 3-spoke sport wheel with the paddle shifters. It's the one you want. It also, as you can tell, has the I can't actually tell. Something I don't like about this though, you can tell that the wheel has been wrapped aftermarket in some sort of cover. Looks really bad in my opinion. You can tell the stitching is not very even. Doesn't look that good. But in terms of interior spec, it is a Turbo S, so it's going to come standard with the Sport Chrono. This is that seat with extra options that I was talking about. These are going to be that sport adaptive seats. These are going to be those extra sport adaptive seats. You can see these two different switches in the front. Oh, so I made a mistake. This car actually has the aluminum trim, as you can tell, because of the vent color right here. And because this car was actually, the steering wheel was actually rewrapped, they actually got rid of the aluminum trim. But as you can see, Turbo S, so a lot of things are going to be standard with this car. $102,000 for a 52,000 mile Turbo S. You know, they're not too far off. However, being that it does have 52,000 miles, I wouldn't want to go over 90,000 for this Turbo S. It is in a really nice color. So yeah, $90,000 for this Guards Red Turbo S. Moving on to our final example we have here on Auto Trader. This is going to be a 2011 Turbo, and they want a ton of money, $184,000. It only has 22,000 miles. Let's see why they're asking so much. You can see it has a standard 911 Turbo wheels. These are not going to be the center locks. These are the 5 lug wheels. No aero kit here. As you can see, it has, you know, it has, I don't know what to call this. As you can see, it's not an aero kit. It doesn't have the body colored cladding, as well as not having the GT3 wing. See the interior spec. We do have the sport adaptive seats with the special wheel that you want. However, this one, because this is a manual, that is okay. I need to figure out what I'm going to say, because when I clip these up, this is why I keep restarting when I'm talking, because when I clip them up, they have to sound good in clips. So let's get this again. So here we see why the car is so expensive. It is a 6-speed manual, super rare for the 997.2s. They only made literally not even 200 of them for the entire world. This is why it's 185,000. We can also see it has the 3-spoke sport wheel without the paddle shifters, because it is a 6-speed, no paddle shifters here. And we can also see it comes with and we can also see that it has a Sport Chrono package. Fully loaded car. You're gonna have the leather on top as well as leather on the doors. You can also see that it has the color contrasted stitching. This is going to be a black interior car, no special trim here. But because it is a 6-speed manual, these cars are going to be super desirable. Literally, the 997.2 Turbo in a manual is one of the most desirable 911s to date, and they will only continue to go up in price. This was the last Turbo to be available with a manual transmission, and that is why they're so special. A lot of people realize this way too late. I'm pretty sure people caught on like about maybe a year or two ago, 3 years ago, maybe, that these were so special. And they used to be like, you could get a 997.2 in a manual for under 100 grand 2 or 3 years ago. Now the prices are insane. 185,000, 22,000 miles. What would I pay for this? I think the max I pay for a manual 997.2 Turbo is 140,000, and that would have to be an aero kit. That would have to be with the RS wheels. That would have to have the carbon interior. Yeah, this car is not for me. 22,000 miles, 185. I'd say for this, 140 max is what I paid for it. Moving on to our final place we look at ads, Car Gurus. We have a really nice example. Silver on tan interior. Let's see what exactly the interior color is. Oh, it's not tan. It's going to be this almost what do I call it? It's like clay, like it's like red clay type material. Very nice in my opinion, like amaretto. I don't know how else to describe it. But as we can see, it has the It looks like it has the aluminum trim package, but I can't really tell because how you can really tell is the color of the door pulls. Those are going to be in the trim that you option your car as. These ones are in leather. Same with all the other cars we've been looking at. So I really want to say this is not any special trim package besides being leather, and it's going to be in this color. We can also see that because it is a .1, I believe, yep, that it comes with the matching roof liner for this amaretto brown color, which is super amazing. This trim, completely ignore what I just said. The roof is black. However, the roof pillars are the same color. Very nice interior. We can also see that it has a sport adaptive seats. This is one of my favorite spec cars we looked at so far. Silver on this reddish brown is just unbeatable. Very unique. This would be a spec that you should get if you want to get a car that's easy for resale. Also looking, it has a 3-spoke steering wheel. Also a plus, it also has sport chrono. This is a wonderfully packaged car. I love the spec on this car. This would be something that I'd look at personally. I wouldn't even really mind the Tiptronic. This spec is just super nice. Let's see what they're asking for. 59.9, and it has 87,000 miles. You know, this is pretty, this is, you know, this is an on-war spec car. 80 high miles, low price, superb spec. What I usually go for is the top spec you can get, the most unique spec you can get at the lowest price, which usually means the highest miles. So highest miles, dope spec you can find. This is one of them. You know, I'd say for this, being that it is a spec that I would want and it is high miles, you know, I wouldn't be wanting to go over 55,000 for this car. But for 55,000, a turbo S, or I mean, sorry, a 99.1 turbo with this very unique interior is a really good deal. Cool. Moving on, we have a 2010 turbo cab. This is going to be a 997.2, obviously. But let's see what interior packages it has. You can tell it has the comfort seats, so base seats, but it does have the sport wheel with the paddle shifters, which is a huge option to have. Also has sport chrono. Some good options so far besides the seats. However, some people, they like the comfort seats, you know. They're not bad to have. They're very good seats. But yeah, comfort seats, sport chrono, sport wheel with the paddle shifters. It has the carbon fiber door sills. Full leather, as you can see. I'm trying to see, like, we haven't found a single carbon car yet. But yeah, I don't see any carbon here. No carbon on the wheel, nothing. So standard leather interior with the comfort seats, but it has the sport with the paddle shifters in terms of the steering wheel, as well as having sport chrono. Big options to have, but it is a cab, so we're gonna have to discount it a little bit with 65,000 miles. 65,000 mile 997.2 for 76, you know, isn't too bad, but for this one, I wouldn't be willing to go over 67 for it simply because it is not the best spec in terms of color, and it is a cab with a ton of miles. 65 is a lot, comparatively speaking. Here we have a 2009, so this is gonna be a 997.1 in a really desirable color. White is a pretty desirable color for these turbos, as well as having the, what looks like an aero kit, but is not actually an aero kit. All they did was paint these, or all they did was paint match the lower valence of the body to make it look a little bit better. We can also see it as the multifunction wheel as well as comfort seats. So pretty base spec car in terms of interior materials. However, it does have sport chrono, which is a good thing. So in terms of what this car is going for, we have sport chrono, we have the paint color as well as the painted lower valence of the car. But other than that, not really much to go off of. We only have 32,000 miles. They want 87.9 for the car. 2009 car, so it is a .1. So this is a little bit high for the fact that it doesn't have the option that you really want. It doesn't have the 3-spoke steering wheel. It doesn't have it doesn't have the active sport seats. But it does have sport chrono. But the interior trim package also leaves a lot to be desired. Nothing really too fancy in terms of the interior, just leather trim. So for 32,000 miles, I'd say for this 2009 911.1 or 997.1 coupe, I'd be willing to go up to 80 grand. Moving on to our next one, we have a 997.2 coupe in silver with the Porsche carbon ceramic brakes. Very good option so far on this car. Let's see what the interior looks like. It also has body painted lower valences to look like an aero kit. However, the real way to tell an aero kit is the wing. This one has a standard turbo wing. You can also tell this in 997.2 because it kinks up in the middle for these rear tail lights. Let's see what the inside looks like. It is a Turbo S, so Sport Chrono is standard. It looks like it has comfort seats. Let's see a little bit more. Are you serious? So looking at this, we can see that it does have comfort seats, which is surprising. You'd think a car with the Porsche carbon ceramic brakes would have the sport adaptive seats, or even better, the sport buckets. However, just the comfort seats in this example, we do, however, have the 3-spoke. We do, however, have the 3-spoke steering wheel with the paddle shifters, which is a really good option, as well as having the RS Spider wheels. Very well optioned car aside from the comfort seats, but that could have been on purpose. Maybe he wanted a more comfortable ride. Who knows? It is a Turbo S, as I mentioned, so it comes with the Sport Chrono. Fully leather. Dash and doors are covered in leather. What is the price they're asking? $96,000 for a Turbo S with 33,000 miles. Isn't that bad, especially being a 997.2 and especially being a coupe. The coupes are going to be more desirable than the cabriolets, obviously. And on top of that, it is an RS Spider wheel car. These wheels having the center locks completely change out the wheel hubs, which means it's much more equipped car. Let's see what they have to say in terms of description. So horrible description. Let's see. Yeah, nothing. Horrible description. For this car, I'd say for a Turbo S being a 97.2 and only having 33,000 miles, I'd be willing to go up to 90 grand for this car. Moving on to our final example, and probably my favorite example here, we have a Guards Red pre-facelift 97.1 turbo coupe with a manual transmission. I love this red. The red looks really nice. They added some aftermarket stuff in there to make it look a little bit more unique. Not my favorite. However, it is colored. You can see it has the red trim color option in terms of the panels. They changed out the panels to be red. They're gloss red finish as opposed to being covered in leather. It also has the adaptive sport seats, as you can tell by the center seam. What else does this car have? It also has the Sport Chrono, which is expected on a car like this, especially having the manual transmission. It would be a shame if it didn't. It also has a 3-spoke steering wheel. As you can see, it doesn't have the paddles because it is a manual car. Just a really good spec. Guards Red on black, manual 911 turbo. Just a great spec. Guards Red on black, manual 997 turbo. This is going to be a car that is going to be desirable till the end of time. One of the best 911s to come out. One of the best configured ones in terms of spec, in terms of paint, in terms of transmission configuration, in terms of Sport Chrono. This is just an overall, the ultimate version of the car, in my opinion. Though it is a 997.1, it's not a .2. The 997.1 does have its pluses. It is not a Tiptronic, so all the minuses of the 997.1 are erased. It has a Mesker engine. It has that tuning potential. You can make almost 900 horsepower on a stock block with the Mesker engine. With the DFI engine and the 997.2s, you can't really make that much power, maybe 650, 700 max. So being a 997.1 with the Mesker engine, manual, Guards Red, Sport Chrono, this is the ultimate car. I'd say for this, having 52,000 miles, I'd be willing to go up to $95,000 for this car. So that wraps up the ad review for the cars. I hope you guys, figure out which example works best for you. I'd say for me, I'd be willing to go between two options, either a 997.2 PDK or a 997.1 manual. The 997.2 manuals are nice, obviously, but you're really going to have a hard time finding them. They're super rare, only a couple hundred for the entire world, and Porsche purists are insane. They already copped them. That they're already, marked up in price. Porsche people are crazy, and you are not going to compete with them if you're trying to just get into the Porsche market and getting a 997.2 manual turbo car. They're already spoken for. You're not really going to find one for a good price. And that is why I recommend getting a 997.1 manual car. You're going to get the Mesker engine. It's going to have a little bit more problems. However, it is older technology. It's going to be sorted. If you get one that has a little bit more miles too, you can also bet that most of the problems are going to be handled. And that's what I would do. Go for a higher mileage manual Mesker engine car. It's going to have all the issues probably addressed, as well as having one of the greatest Porsche configurated cars ever produced. Yeah, and for 95, obviously Porsche has gone up a ton in price. The market is inflated to, levels that I wouldn't even see possible. I remember when I had my M6 a couple years ago, this guy offered to trade me a 996 Carrera S. It was a manual 996 Carrera S, Though it was a convertible with a hardtop, he wanted to trade me my M6 with 120,000 miles, 2007, for a 996 Carrera S with a manual. And now that car is double the price of an M6. It's crazy how these Porsche cars have gone up in value, but I guess people are starting to realize, you know, they stand the test of time. Plus, they are super good performance-wise, so you can't really beat this car. The problem I have with Porsche is that people make it out to be the best car ever. It is not the best car ever. It is a great car in many things, but it's not the best in anything. It's not the best in sound. It's not the best in power. It's not the best in looks. It's not the best in you know, it might be the best in reliability, but it's not the best in just making you feel like you paid $100,000 for something that's worth it. The one thing I don't like about Porsches is the fact that when you're driving around, most normies can't tell what you have. There's so many models. I believe Porsche currently, they make over 30 different models of the 911. People don't know what it is. It could be a regular 911 or it could be a GT2 RS. Most normies aren't going to be able to tell, and that's the problem with the 911, is that you're paying a premium exotic price for a car that most people can't recognize. It's recognized by Porsche enthusiasts, and what happens is that people get stuck in an echo chamber with Porsche. Especially Porsche. People get stuck in the echo chamber. What happens is people start hearing, oh, I need like top spec Porsche, like I need this and that and this option. They start comparing and nitpicking every little thing between their cars, and they start living in this bubble where outside of the bubble, people don't even know that this car, what Sport Chrono is. They don't know that what an aero kit is. They don't know the difference between a turbo and a 4S. You know, like no one really cares. So yeah, that's my rant on Porsche enthusiasts. If you want to dive deep into the Porsche world, this is a great way to start. Probably one of the best ways to start, if I'm gonna be honest. And if you're not really in the market for one of these, there are a ton of other Porsches you can get if you want to get the same feeling. Because if I'm not gonna lie, I can't speak for ownership in terms of owning different cars and how different 911s and how they feel comparing between, but I'm pretty sure the reaction you get from people is going to be pretty much the same overall, no matter what 911 you're going to get it, aside from car shows, obviously. So that wraps it up for today. I hope you guys learned something. Hope you guys are well on your way to getting your 997.2 or .1. I meant to say turbo, 997 turbo. And I hope you guys, I wish you luck in finding the best spec possible one you can find. This has been your internet automotive spec guru on Warren Cars. I will see you guys tomorrow. I haven't decided what car I'm going to do yet. Let's see, actually. What do I have on my board? I'm sticking this week with exotics, or, you know, desirable exotics from the mid-2000s. You know, I'm debating between doing the Acura NSX. You can't even see this board, which actually kind of sucks. But I'm debating doing between the Acura NSX and I was going to do the OG Mercy, so the pre-LP Mercy. We already did a Lambo this week, so I don't know if I want to do another Lambo just to keep some variation in here. But either the OG Mercy, the Acura NSX, or the Aston Martin DB9. I'll make a decision pretty soon of what I want to do, but yeah. Either the OG Mercy, Acura NSX, or Aston Martin DB9. You'll see tomorrow. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I will see you guys on Thursday with my next show, as I just mentioned. I'm just repeating myself at this point. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Said that for the third time. I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace and have a good one. Stay safe.